The Elder Scrolls 6 may finally have a target release date, a leaker claims. Reported on by Insider Gaming. Initially, though, it came from a video from Ecstasis, timestamped video below, who claimed that the studio is targeting late 2027 for a release date. What did they say specifically?
Let's get down to business, guys, because we have new...
This sounds weird because it's not in English. It has been translated using YouTube's new like auto dictate transcribe thing. That's why it sounds weird, okay?
Evidence and information about the Elder Scrolls 6 and its possible release. Pay attention, around 2027, late 2027. You'll probably be blown away right now, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on, because first of all, BTSD Game Studios has made a choice, which is what fans needed to get excited about the Elder Scrolls 6.
So the whole video is going through a bunch of other stuff, but he's claiming that they're targeting a late 2027 release date, potentially slipping into 2028. Now, I have strong thoughts on this, okay? I've had strong thoughts on this. And it's mainly because, for one, in order to be a prediction, your claim needs to be testable and novel, right? You can't just say the sun's going to rise tomorrow, and when it does, claim that you're a prophet. It's got to be novel.
I'm going to explain it to you a little.
Shut up. Why did it start by itself again? That was so weird. It has to be novel and testable, okay? So it has to be something like very specific. That's the other piece. Novel, testable, specific. In this case, his claim of it being late 2027 is not really novel. It's just not. Okay, he's saying late 2027, which is precisely where everybody else and their grandmother has guesstimated that it's going to land. Late 27, going into 28, right on the cusp of the next generation of consoles. That would put it anywhere from 4 to 5 years after Starfield, which is precisely about the development time period that Bethesda has been taking. Candle, Luke? Yes. Sorry. I am so sorry. I forgot to light you. So at the outset, the claim isn't very novel, okay? It is sort of specific. He's saying that they're targeting a release date, but even that, how do we test this? How do we test this specific claim? Well, if it comes out in late 2027, we can say, oh, he was right. If it comes out early 2028, he can say, oh, I was right. If it slips into late 2028, he can go, oh, I was also kind of right because I said it could slip into 2028. I never said early 2028. I just said late 27, early 28, or late 27, slipping into 28. So no matter what, barring some insane delay of like a year or two, he can't be wrong, which is not typically impressive to me. If your claim is not very specific, if it's not novel, it is testable based on when the game comes out, but because it fails the other two tests, it just doesn't really work for me. The other piece is I did look this up, and of course there's other examples. For example, Starfield was initially revealed to be targeting a 2022 release date, and this was back at E3 2021. They said that they were looking to release in 2022. It would end up getting delayed by a year. Later on, Phil Spencer was doing an interview and kind of let something slip he probably wasn't supposed to. And he said that Starfield originally had a much earlier release date before Xbox told Bethesda to take their time. And the insinuation at this time was that they had a much earlier release date than the November 2022 date, which would suggest maybe early 2022 or maybe even 2021. A full 2 years before its eventual launch was their original plan. So the point of that is Bethesda stuff gets delayed constantly. Even if they're targeting internally late 2027, by their own metrics and timelines based on the last game they put out, they ended up delaying it by like basically 2 years, potentially, a year and a half, 2 years. So all of this is just kind of stupid. I also looked up the claims made by this individual. And this individual, hold on, this guy has been, it brought up in numerous other conversations about leaks and things. So for example, he did get some stuff right, specifically tied to Xbox Game Pass claims. He correctly leaked that Modern Warfare 3 was coming to Game Pass in July of 24. That's not really shocking. It's kind of what everybody was saying, but okay. He predicted that Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy would be joining Game Pass, Forza Horizon 5's PlayStation 5 release. He predicted that, which people found impressive as well. It also was not that novel a claim. A lot of people were saying that at the time, but okay. Community feedback tends to say that he has a, quote, pretty good track record. For example, this guy, Truth, one of his defenders, has said, you realize every past leak this dude has posted has been real. Go back through the dude's tweets. Everything he posted came true and came out hours, days, or even months after they were released or announced. The crap gamer said, yeah, Ecstasis, who has a pretty good track record, said the claim in question. But he's also gotten some stuff inaccurate. For example, he claimed that Codemasters would close in May of 2025, which did not happen. He claimed that he was 95% sure on knowing the fourth game being announced at the Xbox Direct, saying he mentioned it in his last video. And some of these were also, like, he mentioned Persona 6, and then later he confirmed that it wasn't it. So it starts to sound like he's throwing stuff at the wall a little bit. And then when it doesn't follow and it's not confirmed, he backs out of it pretty quickly. Jez Corden also, who has had his own sources and has gotten some stuff right and some stuff wrong, but also works for Windows Central. He said, Ecstasis, quote unquote, borrowed this information. Specifically, this was a claim that Xbox is currently developing 3 new controller prototypes. He borrowed this information from the latest Xbox 2 podcast without sourcing, much like most of his other leaks, which is also something we've seen other people do, where like they will go onto Insider Gaming, find an article on, say, Skull and Bones, and be like, oh, this article suggests that Ubisoft is going to use assets from that on Black Flag Remake. So I'm going to make a leak about Black Flag Remake, and I'm going to mention that they're going to reuse assets from Skull and Bones. And then when people are looking at it, they'll connect the dots, be like, oh, they're corroborating each other. When they're not actually corroborating each other, working in tandem, they're actually one's a derivative of the other, right? So all of this to say, I'm sorry to waste your time. But looking at this, I find, for one, the claim to be utterly unremarkable. He's saying that it's coming out late 2027 is their current targeted release window, which, what are we supposed to do with that information? There's literally nothing. Like, literally nothing. Okay, they're targeting that. If it gets delayed, he can still claim he was right. Oh, we were initially targeting that timeline. Okay. Of course, he doesn't provide any internal evidence to support his claim. He does say that the information he's collected would lead him to logically believe that the game will launch by then, which, whatever that means, that makes me think that he didn't even have somebody tell him it's launching in late 2027. He's just literally like, yeah, they're hoping to get out a few games by the end of the decade, which is what everybody has said. And he's inferring from that this leak. So I find that kind of stupid. And then other things, like, it's frustrating to me because again, any type of prediction, whether it's leakers or even like a religious prophet or cult leader, it should meet those standards and pass that test. It should be novel, testable, and specific. And if it's not any of those, or if it fails even 1 or 2 of those, it's not really a prediction. And in this case, it fails at least 2 out of the 3. It is technically testable because we can see when it launches, when it launched, and compare it. But by that point, all of this will be forgotten. Nobody will be talking about this leak. So he will have benefited from the initial wave of attention, and everything will be forgotten by then. And even at that point, if it launches in 2029, he can still say he was right because their internal target date was actually late 2027 and it just got delayed. So no matter what, he can claim that he was right. So I know one of you guys messaged me this article. I'm happy to talk about it. But unfortunately, there's not much to say. It's just, I think it's stupid. Okay. That's my take. I think that this is stupid. Even if it's accurate, there's nothing to do with it. And there's plenty of reason to not think that this is like totally accurate. He took my thing.